is extremely polarized. I think that's very obvious to everybody. We're in a place where we're pointing out our differences instead of what unites us. When Trump won his presidency, both him and Clinton, I think at some point or another, were demonizing each other's supporters. And I think we're in a place where we need to bring people back together. What are you gonna do to bring people across the aisle?
Thanks for the question. You've seen it in some of our town hall meetings. I mentioned that we're on day 30 of this road trip through and across and into the different communities in Texas. The day after we were in Seminole, I believe we were in Muleshoe, and a woman came and asked me a question. I answered the question. She deeply disagreed with me on it. A reporter afterwards asked her what she thought of the meeting, what she thought of us. And she said, seems like a nice guy. I like that he listened to us. I'm still voting for Ted Cruz after this meeting. But how wonderful that people who can deeply disagree on an issue can have a civil conversation, can treat each other with decency, can understand that even if you feel a different way about a given issue, you're just as American, you're just as Texan, you're just as human as I am. I hold a town hall meeting every single month in El Paso, and it's open to the public, no holds barred, all comers welcome. And in meetings like these, those who put me into this position of public trust hold me accountable for what I have done or what I have failed to do. Cynthia can tell you that I go into those meetings with a healthy dose of fear in my gut. I'm gonna have to account for what I've done. The votes that I've taken, the reason that I voted a given way, our progress or lack of progress on legislation that we've been working on. At a meeting like one of those, someone stood up, a veteran, and he said, "Hey Beto, I love the fact that as a community, we've turned our VA around from being the worst in the country in mental health care wait times. And care delayed has become care denied, means that veterans are taking their lives at an alarming rate in this country. I'm glad that El Paso's getting its act together, but did you know that there are 500,000 veterans who have an other than honorable discharge, who because of the status of their discharge cannot get into a VA at all and see a provider, though they were diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder or traumatic brain injury or military sexual trauma, these signature conditions and wounds of war and combat and service, and they're taking their lives at twice the rate of the general veterans population." So with that good idea, with that information that he had given to us, we wrote a bill called the Honor Our Commitment Act that would open up mental health care at the VA for those veterans who had been denied it before, but we couldn't get it to a hearing in the House Veterans Affairs Committee. We couldn't get it to a hearing on the floor. We could not get it to a vote. In other words, that bill, as well-intentioned as it was worth all the paper it was written on and nothing more. And I feared my constituents' response. If I came back to them and I said, "Listen, we wrote this great bill based on what you suggested to us, but those darn Republicans, they're in the majority and they're standing in the way right now. And if we cannot get them out of power, if we cannot win a majority for ourselves, we'll never be able to get this bill across the line." I knew that they would call BS on that. And so I worked to find that Republican colleague. We each made compromises because he'd introduced his own version of that legislation. That consensus bill passed the House of Representatives unanimously, 435 to 0. It passed out of the Senate, and we got it on to this president's desk, a president with whom I agree on almost nothing. And yet we'll find a way to work with anyone, anytime, anywhere, including President Trump, if it's going to make the lives of those that we represent better. In this case, the bill did. He signed it into law 1 year to the day it was introduced. It has opened up mental health care to veterans who before could not see a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and it's saving lives. So in the way that we campaign, in the way that we serve, in the way that I hold myself accountable to my constituents, I want to serve you in that same way in the U.S. Senate. Thanks for the question.
Okay, to your right, straight right. And I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of hands up. I only have time for a few more. Hi, I'm Angela.